In today's video, I will be ranking all 10 Star Wars films, from worst to best in my opinion. I hope you enjoy. In the number 10 spot is Star Wars Attack of the Clone. I chose Attack of the Clones because I do think it is the worst live-action Star Wars film, because the movie is quite stupid and doesn't make a lot of sense most of the time, and it does have a lot of dated effects that don't hold up and really take away from the tension of any fight scenes. There are a few cool moments and some emotional scenes, but they are very few and far between. Many people would probably think The Phantom Menace is worse than Attack of the Clones, but in my opinion, Attack of the Clones is worse. There are some cool characters in the form of Jango Fett. Ewan McGregor does a decent job as Obi-Wan. Some of the acting is okay, even though most of it's terrible. And there are a few interesting ideas, but it's still a bad movie. Number 9 is The Phantom Menace. There is so much wrong with this movie that me talking about it would just be me beating a dead horse, so I'm just going to be really brief. You have bad acting, annoying comedy relief like Jar Jar, and just really bad. You do have some cool characters like Darth Maul and Qui-Gon Jinn, but that's about it. I really don't have much to say about this movie, so let's just move on. At number 8 is Star Wars The Last Jedi. The acting is okay and the visuals are amazing, but the real problems with this film really lie in the writing. The writing of a lot of characters like Rose, Luke, Finn, and a bunch of other characters are just really bad. And I know what you're asking, what do I mean by that? Well, in this film, Luke is terribly out of character, Rose is a pointless character that just puts us in a pointless subplot. I mean, you all know what I'm talking about here. And the film does have really bad writing and some really bad decisions that just boggle my mind. In the end, I really don't like this movie, and it gets the number 8 spot. Number 7 is Rogue One: A Star Wars Story. I feel this is just above the line of good and bad, still in the good area, but it's still not that good. A lot of the characters are quite dull and unmemorable. Half of the characters I don't even remember the name of. The only 2 characters I actually remember are Blind Guy and Main Character, who I don't even remember the names of. And I really don't care when a lot of them die. The only real memorable character is the villain of the movie Krennic, who I found very interesting and compelling, but that's it really. That's kind of embarrassing, to be honest. Number 6 is Solo: A Star Wars Story. I found this film to just be a lot of fun. Not a great movie, not that great, but still a lot of fun. It's kind of like this Western-style heist movie, which I do like a lot, but my biggest problem with the movie is that it doesn't really feel too much like a Star Wars film and kind of feels like a generic sci-fi film. And that's a real problem that I do have with the movie. However, for what it was kind of cool. At number 5 is Star Wars: The Force Awakens. I liked a lot of the new and interesting characters that were added to the Star Wars universe in this film, and a lot of the effects and visuals and acting were quite good. The only real problem I do have is that that this film does kind of feel like a retread of A New Hope, and I am beating a dead horse here, so I'm going to be brief. I do feel like a lot of the criticism with this film is pretty invalid, like Rey being a Mary Sue apparently. I never quite felt like she was a Mary Sue. I mean, I could understand why people would think like that, but I did feel there were legitimate reasons that she could do the things she could do. And because of that, I put it in the number 5 spot. Taking the number 4 spot is Star Wars: Return of the Jedi. I do definitely feel like this film is the most underwhelming in the original trilogy, but it's still a pretty good movie. Palpatine is a great villain, and Luke Skywalker is still good in this movie. Darth Vader is as great as ever, and the main cast is still alright. At number 3 is Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith. Even though this film has many narrative issues, I am still able to enjoy it, as it has a wonderful musical score by John Williams, good acting even on Hayden Christensen's part, great action scenes, good effects, emotional scenes, and just all around greatness. I do have many problems with this movie, like Anakin's transition is kind of rushed, General Grievous isn't really important, and it's kind of wasted in this film. And I think there's way too much green screen in a lot of scenes, but I am still able to enjoy this film and put it in the number 3 spot. In fact, this used to be my favorite Star Wars film, but as time went on, I realized the better films are up next. At number 2 is the original Star Wars film from 1977, the one that started. This absolute classic still remains one of my favorite movies of all time, as it takes a very cliche premise of a farm boy who doesn't seem destined for anything, turns out to be destined for greatness and needs to save the princess. However, it turns that into a very original movie. It gives us a very likable cast of characters, and a very threatening and cool-looking villain in the form of Darth Vader. My biggest problem with the film is that I feel it's a little slow in the beginning and takes a while to really start to get moving. But that's only a little problem in this great movie. My number 1 choice was the one you were all expecting, Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. It does what a sequel should do. It ups the stakes of the original, satisfies the fans, and creates a sequel better than the original. It gives us new and interesting characters, and expands the universe of Star Wars. It gives us an amazing plot twist that no one expected, but we all know by now. It turns Darth Vader into a very tragic and sympathetic figure. It does everything a sequel should, as I explained before, and is the best Star Wars film ever made. Video, or agreed with my rankings, or just liked the video. This was Darth Nessid, and I hope you support my channel. Goodbye.